Hello and welcome to our last recording of the YouTube program at the Business School. My guests today are Professor Raymond Parsons, economist at the Business School, as well as Dr. Piet Croucamp. He's a senior lecturer in political science at our Vaal campus. And today we're going to have two programs. One looking back at what happened in 2019 that was important, politically, economically, and otherwise. And the second program looking forward. What can we expect of 2020? Only briefly and the most important issues. Piet, let's start with 2019, politically speaking. What would you say dominated this year?
I think we can start, the election was obviously important. The State Captive Commission, Zondo, was very, very important. I think also the relations between Zuma and the National Prosecuting Authority stood out for me. Then, of course, the fiasco in the DA, the resignation of Maimane, the even greater fiasco of the return of Zille.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the relationship with the public protector and, say, the executive to some degree. But I think like a thread running through all this was what happened to Ramaphosa. Where is he? Vis-a-vis, say, a year ago. And I think a year ago we would have said he has a position in the National Working Committee, which was strong. We would doubt and speculate about his position in the National Executive Committee. We would say we're not sure about the caucus, and we know that he had virtually no support in the
That was the period
in the
before
top
the
six,
election.
in the top six. But
Yeah.
even now we ask the question, what happened since then? Okay. I think he's consolidated himself in the caucus, and I see it in various ways. We can talk about that. I think he has the majority support now of the National Executive Committee of the ANC, the Working Committee always behind him, and I think it doesn't really matter anymore what is his relationship with the top six, because that will be sorted out through various investigations from the National Prosecuting
Now,
Authority.
in summary on politics, there's a meeting tomorrow of the NEC where Theo and I think Praveen must report on decisions. Do you think Ramaphosa is safe in that meeting?
I think he's relatively safe. I think people who will draw the fire tomorrow might be Mboweni and Praveen themselves, because you'll remember with the South African Airways strike, Praveen is right at the center of that argument with the unions at Urban Gym. And then also Theo Mboweni. I think whatever happens now at the SOEs and at the SAA has got everything to do with his medium-term budget and what he has said there. And I think some of the things he said before that budget.
Raymond, Piet actually created now the opening for the economy in this year, 2019. What would you say were the dominating issues looking at 2019?
Well, perhaps one should say, Theo, that the dominating theme in the politics has been the South African economy and its deterioration. And I think what 2019 has revealed, perhaps more than ever before, was the extent of the damage that the Zuma era did to the economy.
The 9 wasted
And
years.
that certainly showed up not only in weak growth, also in high unemployment, also in low tax revenues, and finally in high debt. And spinning out of all that, of course, more specifically, has been the problem of the state-owned enterprises. Eskom has been in the center of that scenario, how to deal with that, how to restructure it. And of course, the other issue has been the views of the rating agencies, especially Moody's. But that has been more symptomatic of the deeper legacy of economic damage. So I think this has been, for many people, from an economic point of view, a year of economic disappointment, because clearly expectations were perhaps unrealistic that we could turn all this thing around in a few months. It's clearly not so. And so the bottom line now, as we look back on the year, it's been a struggle for South Africa to find a way, an effective and sustainable way, to break out of a low growth trap without falling into a debt trap. I think that's really the message that not only comes out of 2019, but will also be carried forward into the new year. And that's the big challenge, is how do you politically manage an economy that is not performing well? And what leadership do you need to show? What tough decisions do you need to take?
Now, talking on leadership, both of you mentioned the political issues really, but 3 issues in the social environment were important to me. Xenophobia, the drought, almost as an environmental issue, and of course gender violence. Any one of you have a few comments on
I
those
think
issues?
I think on xenophobia, what it did say to our international relations was important for me. You'll remember that we had to send delegations into Africa, and Ramaphosa had to apologize profusely. So it had a significant impact on our international relations, apart from the social instability that we had in South Africa. Then, of course, the issue of women's issues, it follows on the Me Too of a year or what ago. So it's building up momentum. I think, I must say, if you look at international indexes, that sort of qualifies where we are as far as women representation in our systems, in political system,
We
and in
look
the
quite
economy.
good.
We're not doing badly at all.
Yeah.
So I think, whereas it's obvious that we have a problem, but that's more, maybe it emanates from our crime problem and other social problems. The reason why women are unsafe in South Africa is because everybody is unsafe, and women is even just more vulnerable than most other people.
But I think what we must not do when we discuss xenophobia, which is a complex phenomenon, it's not peculiar to South Africa, but it's certainly aggravated by a weak economy, because then the whole issue of jobs and business opportunities become to look like a zero-sum game. Either I have a business opportunity and you do not, or I have a job and you do not. And that simply makes the whole xenophobia phenomenon so much more acute, and is another reason why we need to turn this economy around. It will make it a little better to deal with that kind of social phenomena and its wider implications.
Well, it was a great pleasure talking to you two, pointing out the big stories of 2019. In the next program, we will look at 2020, maybe looking back a little bit at 2019, but what is going to carry over into next year. Thank you very much.